Here is the question. How is it that God rejects a people or a person? This is in Romans chapter 10. We're dealing with it. And I want you to understand exactly what he's getting at, or else you will never understand the plan of salvation. Neither will you understand what it means to be elected to the kingdom of heaven. I'm Pastor John from Livingstone's and Sunland, Tonga, Seventh-day Adventist Churches, and it is time for the call to prayer. Romans 10, verse 14. Let's read about this idea of rejection. To understand God's view of rejection, we must change our minds. We must wash ourselves from our human system. Many Christians do not understand at all the Bible. That even includes us Seventh-day Adventists. We have a movement which is a social justice movement within the United States and within Christendom, which puts the person on the top rung, the human being. I am the top, and God is somewhere down at the bottom in that. We, in the name of social justice, put ourselves in the center of the universe. But I should not be the center. And Israel had done this same thing. That's why they crucified Jesus. Let's read Romans chapter 10, verse 14. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? Absolutely. They are searching the scriptures because they feel that in them they have eternal life, but these scriptures are they which testify of Jesus. If they had read the scriptures, in other words, Jesus was saying this quite plainly. If you had read the scriptures, you would know me. You would know exactly who I am. But since you never read it, your eyes moved over the page, you memorized the words, but you didn't get the concept. We have so many people today, young and old alike, who say they read the Bible, say they understand it, go to church there 3 times a week. 3 times a week or maybe 3 times a year. And yet, at the same time, know nothing about the God who inspired the Bible. Now, if I've been given the tools or if I have the intestinal fortitude to actually read the scriptures and search something out and think it through, then I can come to a newer understanding. But some who have a very small healing to their life, who Jesus touched and yet they only saw people walking around like trees, instead of asking Christ to understand what they're trying to understand, some of us just say, I don't believe it, because it's popular, of course. And today's culture, you know how popular it is to say that God is a joke. You know that. You know how if you're an atheist and you believe in evolution and that we just evolved from lower species, you're a part of the mainstream, according to the media, according to social media, according to pretty much everywhere. It's not true. So much of this world is filled with people that actually believe that God created. There are billions of people who believe that we were created, whether in Christianity or in Hinduism or in other, but or Islam. But there's a feeling that if you're a part of the mainstream, then you're a good person. And that's where we get to here, because Israel had become the same way. It had moved into the mainstream. And there were zealots, of course, who were the mainstream of this world, but from a opposite angle, opposite day. So let's read here again. It says, how then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one for whom they have not heard? And how can they hear unless someone preaches to them? Sometimes when you preach, especially with social media, people, just like in the time of Jesus, stop, stop. Have you seen that before? It's like a child. That's called canceling someone. When you're triggered. Israel became like that. Jesus was speaking in the Sanhedrin. All of a sudden, everyone starts this, especially also, remember with Stephen, when Stephen was talking about how they had made a golden calf out of their temple. The elders all stuck their hands over their ears and started screaming, he must be destroyed. And Paul, or should I say Saul, dragged Stephen out along with others and stoned him to death. How can they understand? Israel had known God more than any other nation, and yet they lost connection. They were too busy not listening to themselves talk instead of listening to God who reveals. I know this is a downer message, it seems like, but it's not a downer message, because if we ourselves begin to connect with God in a personal way, even if we're a Seventh-day Adventist who believes that we understand the Bible and yet we don't know the Bible, watch out. We become like everyone else. We become easily pushed around by every whim, like the sea that moves. You know, in Revelation and in Daniel, the seas are always considered the peoples. They move this way and that. It's like politics. Today, everyone's a right wing. Tomorrow, everyone's a left wing. Next week, everyone's a right winger. Next week, everyone's a left winger. You know, that's how politics works. It's based on whatever's happening in the world, social media, you know. Today, I love this one. Tomorrow, I love that one. Today, you have this in even in politics of war. Today, I love this group. Oh, tomorrow, I love that one. You know, you never hear about Ukraine anymore now that Israel happened, and it's. I'm not putting it down. I'm saying we pray for everyone, but you see, the politicians, boy, they're looking for likes. They start liking. They want likes on their posts. So they go to the thing that everyone's thinking about at that time and what the media cameras are pointing to. Israel had done the same. They had lost sight of God. And this last part, this is where we end chapter 10, where Paul is quoting the Old Testament. Verse 16, but not all Israelites accepted the good news, for Isaiah says, Lord, who has believed our message? Consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word of Christ. But I ask, did they not hear? Of course they did. The voice has gone out over the earth, their words to the ends of the world. Basically, what Paul is saying is they don't understand that they're in need. You see, you don't read if you don't think you are in need. I say this to our young people as well. You never read if you don't think you're in need. Isn't that true? We don't like to be told we don't know something. We want to know everything, especially with these gadgets, these phones on us. Oh, I can just Wikipedia. You know, Wikipedia isn't necessarily the right place to go for information, but it's good. It's a good thing. But you have to sift, you have to spit out seeds as well, because it's all kinds of people that have different opinions that get put together, and some of them are facts. Many of them are facts, and most of them are. And but you know, there's different angles that you can take facts to. So Israel had fallen to this. In fact, the bedrock of this goes back to the idea that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I know we say that all have sinned, you know, but I'm a good person. But all, them, they sinned. If you believe that you're a sinner, if I believe I'm a sinner, then that means I will draw myself to become better. I won't just apathetically float. Here in Los Angeles, we're apathetic floaters from one stream to the next, from one exciting moment to the next, one meal to the next. Oh, what's for lunch? What's for dinner? Instead of what's for me from God. You know, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake. That's an important one. We need to hunger and thirst for that. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. This is Romans chapter 3. Now he's going back to this, actually. The concept, that is. He doesn't cite it, but the concept is going back to Romans chapter 3. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. You have sinned. I have sinned. We are in need. But because we are sinners, Jesus justified us by dying on a cross for us. Just because I'm Jewish, just because I'm Seventh-day Adventist, just because I'm American, just because I'm awesome, just because I'm white, just because I'm black, just because I'm Asian, just because I'm Middle Eastern, doesn't make me perfect. Perfection comes from Him who died for you. He became sin for you because you are a sinner. I am a sinner. At our core, we are sinners, and we are in need of new eyes to see. Open my eyes, Lord. I want to see Jesus. And then he quotes, this is a powerful one here, in Romans 10, verse 19. Again, he says, I will make you envious by those who are not a nation. I will make you angry by a nation that has no understanding. He's directly referring to Deuteronomy. I'm going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21, but I'm going to read from verse 19. The Lord saw this and rejected them because he was angered by his sons and daughters. Verse 20. I will hide my face from them, God said, and see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation, and their children are unfaithful. Anytime we're worried about our kids, look to ourselves. We continue. Verse 21. They made me jealous by what is no God, and angered me with their worthless idols. It's true. God has to compete with things that don't exist. How do you like that? Wouldn't you love that? It's kind of like Adventist education. We have to compete against free, and yet we still survive. There is a God. Okay, let me continue on. I will make them envious by those who are not a people. I will make them angry by a nation that has no understanding. This is from the Song of Moses. This is a reminder that Israel, if Israel does not follow God, God will find another people. And this is exactly what happened. At the stoning of Stephen, God officially said, my people are not just Israel. They are now anyone who believes in me. If Israel wants to believe in me, they become a part of spiritual Israel. But I choose the Greeks as well, and the Romans and the Carthaginians and any of them out there. Anyone circumcised or uncircumcised, I choose, God says, anyone who believes in me. If you believe in me, you are a child of Abraham and you are real Israel. Since the Israel by lineage wasn't following me, God says, I will choose an Israel that is me, connected with me. This is harsh. And this should remind us as Seventh-day Adventists and as Christians that God can say goodbye to us as well. Just because you're born into a Christian family or a Seventh-day Adventist family does not mean that God immediately will save you. You must know Him. He must know you. I'll see you very soon. We're going to have the prayers, and I know this is a hard message, but it's an important one. Let's go ahead and do intercession in the next few moments. I'll see you soon.